Morning. I hope you're having a great Monday. I know I am. We just started out at second week of homeschooling and so far so good. I'm here relatively on time. So that's a great feeling. And honestly, having these lives to look forward to 3 times a week has been helping me just kind of step it up just like one more step with my time efficiency, which I always kind of feel like I've won a prize with a competition against myself when I've got so many things to do in the morning, 10 kids, almost 11 kids, homeschooling. So that's already a full life. But just giving myself a little reward, be like, if I do a really good job and I don't slack off and start scrolling on my phone at times when, I could be doing something more productive, then I just feel like I won something. So here I am today to talk with you from my heart, from my life as a Christian wife, homeschool mom of 10, almost 11 kids, about how to connect more with my kids. I've talked about this before because it's something a lot of moms, whether they have 3 kids or 10 kids, all of us want to connect meaningfully with our own children, right? I mean, it's easy in the earlier years. It can get a little more complicated as the kids get older. So I have found it really helpful to learn from other moms. I sometimes read books, and I'm always looking for ways that I can meaningfully connect with the kids, especially as a big family mom, because that presents its own challenge. They don't have 2 kids where I'm going to spend 20, 40 minutes a day one-on-one with them. I mean, that's kind of more of a Western small family model ideal, but it's actually historically and universally not going to work for most people, certainly not a big family model. So here's a funny story. When I was a new mom, brand new mom, didn't know how to change a diaper new mom, I thought all kids were blank slates, and nobody had taught me that. I thought when they came out, they were just like Play-Doh, some kind of clay, and they just had no outside influence. They'd spent all their time in the womb, so they had nothing. They knew no language. They didn't know how to use bowel control. They had to learn everything. And so I just sort of assumed, maybe from public school and evolutionary theory that I was taught growing up, that that they learned everything, that nothing was wired into them at all. They were just little bunches of cells and chemicals, and they were totally shaped by their external influences, kind of this nature versus nurture idea you may be familiar with. Well, time proved me wrong, because I quickly discovered, especially by the time my twins were born after our first daughter, and I had 3 kids under the age of 2, that my twins, who are now 14, had personality wired into them from the beginning. So the first twin, or the oldest twin, who's older by a whole whopping 40 seconds, he's my energy efficient time saver kind of kid, who when he was a little baby, I'm talking 4 months old at the most, we had these kind of soft donut rings that were made out of cloth that would sort of assist while I was watching the twins nurse their bottles. I pumped my milk and they would nurse that way. I guess they would drink their bottle. So I'd stick the bottle in this little O-shaped ring, and it would sort of prop against their chest, and I would watch them because you shouldn't leave them unattended, right? So I'd watch them both. This is kind of how I was figuring to do the whole twin thing. Well, my older twin would put his arms behind his head and just chillax and let the milk come to him, right? He conserved his energy. He just chilled out, relaxed, and just, made it an enjoyable but very efficient process. Whereas his twin brother would grab that bottle. He's don't need the donut. Thank you very much. Grab that bottle with gusto and sucked it back so fast, almost as if he was in a competition and he was going to win. And he was so happy for himself when he was done. And still to this day, now that they're 14, they exhibit the same kind of characteristics and more. This is just one example of how I was I didn't teach them that. They're too little. They were just like that. So I started to realize that maybe it's a bit of both. Maybe there actually is this mysterious, awesome God wired in from the start, these little people, these future men, these adults, to actually already have some stuff wired into them by design. Call it what you will, personality, soul. I'm not even sure the words to use, but I kind of like the word there. It was their personality, just who they are as people. And of course I could see that I was shaping and influencing that as their mom with my own personality and my life and all the things I was figuring out on running on my feet as a new mom, totally unprepared for motherhood. But it was fascinating to me. It was a social study watching. And then we began to have more kids as we were embracing blessing of children. And I saw it over and over again that all of our kids being raised, like same parents, same family, same environment, same food, same input, very similar social situations, very different people, right? Even the twins were different people, and the fraternal twins. I mean, I wasn't totally shocked, but it expanded my understanding. And it helped me connect with my kids more meaningfully, because then I just didn't treat them all like they were just drones or clones or just like little, I don't know, mini me's. So when people ask me like, hey, Tara, how can I encourage my kids and connect with them and help them be who God created them to be? I'm like, oh, I love that question. So here's a couple of things I've picked up along the way that might help you. One is recognizing they have wiring. They're not going to be just like you. You might be totally into sports, and the apple doesn't usually fall too far from the tree. But not all of my kids enjoy the same hobbies that I do, even though they've been exposed to them. Not all of my kids are necessarily natural bookworms like I am, or enjoy the same, YouTube channels that I do. We're different people. We have different flavors and interests. And the things we have in common, that's cool. Those can be nice connecting points. Let's just recognize that they're also different, and that's okay. So I have some super outgoing kids. I have some much more introverted and chillaxed kids. So just honoring who they are is one of my first big pieces of advice. Rather than being frustrated, why aren't they more like me? It would be so easy if everyone was just like me, but it would also be really boring too, right? 2, learn who they are is my other piece of advice. And that can be a real journey and a process. And it's fascinating as a mom when you can look back and be like, wow, they were like that since they were the littlest babies, right? Like 4 months old. And you can kind of see as they begin to grow and mature that that's how they always were. And then knowing how they are, how their sort of propensities, their interests, their sort of way that they process the world, the things that motivate and encourage and inspire or help them or challenge them, can help you mother them better as you kind of teach them boundaries and manners and social cues and all the things we teach our kids as they grow up into adults. But you can tailor your teaching more individually. It's like a custom private education. You're like, hey, listen, thinking of my younger twin who's really more, he loves a good challenge. He loves to, and it's not because he wants to be the king of the castle. He just gets a real sense of satisfaction and gratification about, winning his own personal best. So when I have something to present to him, maybe a less pleasant task like a chore, I can frame it to him as like, listen, bud, I know that you're a winner. And when you set your mind to do something, you do it really well and with excellence. So why don't you see if you can beat your own best time on, sweeping the floor or something? And he might be like, okay, that's kind of a different way to look at it. So the chore is still getting done, but he's finding like more motivated. So it's just like, I didn't even plan that. It was just off the top of my head example. And I can tailor motivation for them based on who they are. And also, of course, teach them things, because I'm not just going to step back and say, well, however you turn out, you turn out. I guess God wired you and I have no role in it anymore. Well, no, I mean, everything from language to toilet training to manners, I still do have a shaping influence in their life as their mom, as does their dad. But speaking to mom, since that's kind of my thing, another thing has recently come in my life that I have found incredibly helpful. And the kids are super excited about it too, because there's a lot of tools available, like I said, books and websites and other tools or whatever. You've probably heard of different personality tests that might use colors or, animals, gems or letters or whatever. And like I've tried some of them over the years, never really got into one, but I'm like aware that they exist. But one of them I've come across recently that is world-class. It's had like Harvard papers written on it. It's fantastic. Like millions of people are using it, and it's really helpful. And at first I was a little skeptical. I'm like, what's the thing? But then I was like, well, I'll try it on myself and I'll see if, because it's like a 90-second online free test. I'll try it on myself and see if it resonates. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is actually really helpful. That's exactly how I am. And it was helpful because once I got the little instant results in my email box, it was like, here's kind of how you are more often than not. And this is the stuff that motivates you. It's stuff you value. It's important to you. And when people don't understand this about you, man, does it ever tick you off and rub you the wrong way? And I'm like, it's like you're reading my mind. That ticks me off so much. And on the flip side, wow, that really means so much to me when people honor that or value that. Literally, it was like, you're reading my mind. So then I did it for my husband. He was so insightful and it helped me honor him more. And my kids caught on to it. They're like, my older kids, and they're like, can I do that? And I was like, sure. It's like this free quiz thing. Of course you can. The kids started asking and talking, and we started talking about, hey, you were like that since you were a kid. And I got insight into one of my quietest, most introverted teenager sons he's a hard nut to crack. He's very private. He really breasts his cards, so to speak. But doing this test, he really opened up in a way I would not have expected. And I was so touched and honored. And since then, this is like 2 weeks ago, I have been connecting with him conversationally, or just helping him with challenges he's experiencing with like sibling dynamic and stuff. It's just been so helpful. And he's even smiling more than usual because he feels so honored and seen. And I'm just like, thank you. This is such a valuable tool. So I'm going to put a link below if you want to check that out. Like, it's totally free. It's totally fun. It's very insightful. And it's very data driven. So it's not just this woo woo mystical stuff. So if you want to check that out, it'll be super helpful, help you understand yourself and the people that you love so you can be a better mom, better person, have better relationships, better communication, all that good stuff. So that's there for you. My time's about up and I can hear somebody crying now. So I'm going to go be a mom. God bless you. I hope you have a great Monday and I'll see you for the next live.